and you get in moments like this and you realize that you just need people to go on behalf of whatever you're needing in the moment and go to the Father. And I've learned that nothing is certain, that comfort is a false illusion.
Yeah.
Uh, that in hard times, the only thing that matters is the relationship with the Father.
What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Zach Schumaker, and I hope you guys are off to a remarkable start to you guys' day whenever you guys are tuning into this episode. Now, today's guest is a very special guest, and to give a little bit of an introduction to him, the modern worship landscape is often dominated by massive arenas, perfect lighting packages, and carefully manufactured emotional crescendos. But my next guest belongs to a remnant of creators who understand that the most profound worship isn't born on a stage, it's forged in the quiet, agonizing valleys of real life. He first captured our hearts at one half of the critically acclaimed Grammy-nominated duo All Sons and Daughters, co-writing generational anthems like Great Are You, Lord. Today, he is a Dove Award-winning producer, a solo artist, and a father who recently led a global church community in fighting for his daughter's life through raw prayer. He is here to talk about walking with God through heavy grief, honest songwriting, and finding absolute mercy in the lowest places. Please welcome David Leonard. David, I appreciate you taking time to come on today.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's an honor to have you on this show. So, I would like to kick off each show kind of talking about your testimony, your story, how you've gotten to the place you're at today. And I think it's a remarkable story for yourself, but we know you today. We know what you have accomplished, what you're doing for the kingdom of God. Just how you got in this place. Like, how did you come to know Jesus to really give your life fully to Him in the way you work, the way you live your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's still an ongoing battle. Still figuring that out. But I feel like the Lord's been very, very kind to me. I grew up in the church. Dad's been a pastor for 40 years. So I've seen a lot of the good and the bad of what it means to follow Christ. But I feel like I've kind of come into my own over the last few years. It's been a beautiful thing to be able to kind of find the Father through grief and through mercy, and I just continue to show up and allow Him to speak to me and teach me in new ways. And uh, I'm thankful that He's been patient with me.
Mm.
Uh, and I'm just grateful for where I am today.
If you reflect back, when was that moment that you said, you know what? You might know Jesus, you might love Jesus, but you really fully gave your life to him and said, you know what, this is going to be my story now. I want to give everything, including my work, to you, Jesus. Like, when was that moment for you? Or was there a specific moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it changes. I mean, I feel
Mm,
like there's been moments where I've given it up, and then there's moments where I want to take it back.
mm,
And and I think that's like the normal journey of what this thing is.
yeah.
I think if it was just you know one thing or the other, I think you would kind of become numb to it. I think that the ebbs and flows of life and the things that you walk into, allow you to be in these moments where you have to fully rely on him. And uh, it's like when life is good, you rarely ever go to the Father
Yeah.
because there's no need. And in moments of need, you dive in, and it's figuring out what that's like, what that's like to be able to move past that and to not just need him in moments of need, but to
Mm.
fully rely on him in all of it.
I think you said that beautifully. And, so many people tune in. We're all going to go through some types of issues in our life. Some might be a little bit worse than others, but there's going to be those struggles in life. As you've learned to reflect back now, like you said, you see how God showed up in those moments. It almost grew your faith in those sense, and that's biblical accurate as well. How have you seen that for those listening that might be going through a tough time? What do you do in that season? And ultimately, how does it help you grow closer to God?
And I mean, we just walked through it with my daughter, and I mean, the only thing for us to do in that moment was pray.
Mm.
People kept coming to us and going, "Can we bring you food? Can we bring you money?" It's like, and you get in moments like this, and you realize that you just need people to go on behalf of whatever you're needing in the moment and go to the Father. And I've learned that nothing is certain, that comfort is a false illusion.
Yeah.
Uh, that you know, in hard times, the only thing that matters is the relationship with the Father.
Mm,
And so, I mean, I think everybody goes through these things differently. But the way we walked through this was with our head down, going, Father, we need you, and
mm,
we're thankful for how we were met, and we're thankful for how she was taken care of,
mm.
and the many people that went behalf of her to the Father.
No, we're gonna dive into that momentarily, but the last question I wanna ask you on this almost the suffering aspect is we see how it develops people throughout the Bible. God will put so many struggles in different people's lives, where that is a guy King David to King Solomon to so on and so forth, and we see the way that perseverance does grow them. As you look back on not just what happened to your daughter this year, but throughout your life, those ups and downs of life, how have you seen some of those moments really grow you as a person? Like, what were some of the things that you say God really developed in you because of those seasons?
Well, I mean, my grandfather, I talk to my grandfather a ton, and he mentions all the time. He's like, "You're gonna fail. You're gonna have moments in your life, but if you're able to go into them and learn from each and every moment, that's that's the best thing that you can do. And it's not a waste. It's like if you go through things and you didn't learn from it or you didn't take anything from it, and it's a waste.
Yeah.
And so for me, I try to walk through every circumstance, going, okay, what am I supposed to learn in this moment? What am I supposed to take away?
Mm,
And sometimes it's clear, sometimes you got to dig for a little bit. But I think I just encourage people to be in every moment and to walk through it, going, God, what do you have for me in this? And being open handed to it. And I've always found that real true beauty has come out of it.
mm. You know, one thing I admire about you is the way that obviously you go through this massive, horrible situation this year, and yet you still find a way to lead your family in a God honoring way. That's something that so many men struggle with because you have tragedy, you have these issues that come up in life. How do you do that? How do you still stay strong and help lead your family, support them, pray for them, lead them in a God honoring way while you obviously are going through so many trials and tribulations and what you're dealing with yourself?
Well, I mean, I think you see what's on social media, you know, behind the scenes. You know, I don't know if I let them well 100% of the time. I feel like there was moments where I was silent and I should have stepped in, and there was tons of that, and you can only do what you can do, and every moment you try to keep moving forward and trying to do your best. And so I just encourage people to hey, it's the next decision, make the next right move. You learn from where you messed up and do the right thing next. And you're gonna fail, you're gonna mess up, and it's okay. But you just got to keep moving forward.
I love that answer. You know, I think in today, and I've talked to so many different people about this as well, is that sometimes we almost are blinded to the miracle aspect. And especially in a country like America, we have such a great medical system. I'm of the belief that, everyone's gifts come from God. So whether that's a doctor or whatever, is that God works in and through them. And obviously the doctors get tons of credit, but God works in and through people like that. As you've experienced what you experienced this year in March and, early parts of 2026, and you see the miracle that I believe happened with your family, with your daughter, how much gratitude and just almost eye-opening has it been to say, "You know what, God, we truly experienced a miracle." Like, how's it changed your faith?
Oh man, I mean, I don't picture prayer the same way.
Mm,
When somebody asks us to pray, like I take it seriously. I think in the past it's been, growing up in the church, people ask you to pray, you're like, oh yeah, I'll pray for you. It's like
mm.
kind of this nonchalant situation.
Yeah.
And now I know when people come to you and they ask you for prayer, like they actually mean you to pray. And so I don't take it lightly. So I think that's changed a giant perspective in my life of going. I don't mess around with that stuff.
Mm,
Like when people are coming, like I take it seriously, and I just know what the benefits of what can happen on the other side. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that everything always happens. It just means that you put your hope in something other than yourself.
Mm.
And sometimes we need other people to help us do that.
I just want to echo that aspect because I do think that is a problem for so many believers that, we are just taught to pray and we don't really understand the magnitude of what that is capable of accomplishing. We don't fully grasp it yet until something like what you said happens for yourself. So, for those tuning in, how powerful is prayer?
And uh, I mean, we're the beneficiary of it. My daughter's alive because I feel like people went on her behalf and lifted her up, and um, it's powerful. It's not just a thing that we do. It's our connection to the Father, and I truly believe the Father loves hearing from His children
Mm,
in moments of joy and in moments of desperation.
mm.
And I think that it's our direct path, and I'm just a believer in it.
I love that. When you reflect back on your life, would you say this was the moment you had to clean to God more so than any other moment? Or was there anything that almost, in a way prepared you for what happened this past year?
No, I mean, there's nothing that can prepare you for something like this.
Yeah.
Um, you know, uh, no, I mean, this is definitely the moment that was like, yeah, this is different than anything we've ever walked through, and I don't wish it upon my worst enemy to walk
Yeah.
through these kind of things, but we're grateful for where we are on the other side.
I love that. When we go back into your personal story, obviously we know what you have now accomplished. You're an incredible music artist, someone I love listening to because you have the ability to go out there and make truly worship music. You have fun music. You have everything in between. Like you guys are so creative with the way with the gifts God gave you. But how did you really come into this? Like, has music always been on your heart? Did you always? I know you're a producer. You do so much stuff in the music industry. Has that always been on your heart, or what really got you into the music industry?
I don't know. I mean, my dad grew up singing. My grandma played piano and organ, so
Okay.
I grew up around music, but never thinking that it'd be the thing that I do. Um, Ended up going to college, meeting some guys, and then signing a record deal, and then was like off to the races. It was like I feel like I didn't start college until I actually moved to Nashville and started doing the thing, and then it became an education of watching everybody, learning about songwriters, learning about producers, um, and I just fell in love with it. And I never thought I'd be doing this 20 years, later. But I'm grateful to be here, and it's a fun time, man.
So when was the moment that it clicked and you said, "You know what? I do have this gift. Like I know that this isn't just something that's fun. Like I can legitimately make a great living off music." When did that click for yourself?
I don't know if it has clicked yet or
Okay.
not. I'm I'm still, working just as hard as everybody else,
Mhm.
trying to stay in this thing and just going as hard as we can.
Mm. When you do reflect back throughout your entire music career to this point in time, what would you say was the most shell shocking, the most like almost out of body experience where you said, "You know what? How is this real?"
I mean, I think when we got nominated for a Grammy, I think that I couldn't believe that. That was hard because we had gone the year before. We had got nominated because we sang on a third day song, and we kind of made the running joke that next year we'd be back because of our record, and not knowing that it could actually happen, and then when it happened, it was like just a beautiful surprise.
Mm. What I love about you is that you have this ability where you could have obviously gone into secular music. You could have done whatever you really wanted to. You chose to go out there and have your job be a form ministry, and a beautiful form ministry at that. How real has that been? Where you can say, your job is to go out there and minister to people, to glorify God, literally with what you do to impact lives, while still doing what you love in music.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes it's easy to minister from a stage. Sometimes it's harder to minister from your everyday life. I think I kind of view my life as the ministry. I spend more time with non-church people than I do church people, and I find a lot of life in that. I find a lot of life when people have light bulbs go off in their life, or they find their need for God, and I learned that from my dad a lot. I've watched him serve for 40 years, and I just watched him be there for everybody, no matter where they were on the journey of it. And so I've tried to kind of carry that same thing of going, the Lord just wants us to love Him and love people. And sometimes it's really easy, and sometimes it's difficult, but all the same, we keep showing up, and so I'm thankful for the Christian music industry. I'm thankful for songs that I've lived outside of it, but I'm just grateful to be in people's lives.
When you look back and you reflect on, all the different people that maybe had those light bulbs go off for themselves, help them go to Jesus, is there one moment that stands out the most to you that you were like, wow, this was awesome to see how God worked and used me to help get someone closer to Jesus?
Um, I mean, there's probably moments that I could pinpoint. I think it's just the same across the board. I think
Mm,
anytime that you see, um, somebody who has questions, feel like they're heard. I think there's a lot of times, especially in Christianity today, that we have answers for everything, and sometimes people who are seeking need to know that they're not the only people who are seeking. And so I've found a lot of life being in moments where I've been able to be vulnerable and go, hey, I don't have all the answers for this as well. The very questions you have, I have
mm,
the same questions, and I feel like that's allowed me to connect with people even deeper, because I think there's a misconception that once you enter into this relationship, that all of a sudden everything magically kind of locks into place.
mm,
And it's like, no, that ain't how this works.
yeah.
It's like this whole faith thing is a different kind of thing. You step into this, it's like now we're all diving in, we're in the deep end, and we're all trying to swim.
Mhm.
And so I just I like that. I like being able to make people know that they're not by themselves and all of it.
I just had an incredible conversation a few weeks back with another pastor that really got into what you said right there is that for some reason, so many Christians, and I think some will take that to a prideful extent, will say, I do have it all figured out. But I think it's such a true thing that for us as believers, that we can say, I don't know the answer. The truth is, we've had the greatest theologians that have ever lived, have never been able to understand the whole Bible. We never will fully understand God. And I love how you said that sometimes you can just say, you know what? I don't know the answer. How valuable is that? And do you think us as believers could really grow in that aspect of just humility and say, sometimes, you know what? We just don't have that answer, but hey, let's figure it out together almost?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's for anything in life.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we could go a million different ways with this, but I think a little humility and a little going, hey man, I need help just like everybody else does. It goes a long ways. So I think it helps.
Another aspect too that I love is that you, like you said, you get to go into the world where there are so many people that are not believers. They might be hearing it for the first time, might just be people in the business world, whatever aspect it is. When you do talk about that, how special is it that you can say, you know what? I get the opportunity to interact and help people and be the light of Jesus. Whether that ends up leading to salvation or not, that's obviously in God's hands, but you get to go be the seed and the light for that. How unique and special has that been for yourself?
No, I mean, I think I think it's a realization that this is what life is,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't know if I think about being unique or special. I just think this is the way we were designed to be.
Mm.
This was the relationship we were meant to be in, walking alongside each other in the middle of all the stuff that we're going through, whether we believe or we don't believe. And I think this is the way he designed us.
When you do go into a situation where obviously, like you said, not everyone's going to be believers. I think that so many people can relate to that. I've had so many pastors on the show, and their typical circle is going to be a lot of Christians as well in the community. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of people tuning in that say, you know what, I'm going to go to the office. I'm going to be going to the construction place, whatever it is. How do you do this? Like, what is your blueprint to say, you know what? How do you reflect Jesus? Is there a certain thing you do, a certain way to start a conversation up? Like, what do you do for yourself when you go into these environments to help people get to know and love Jesus?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's being present. It's listening more than it is speaking.
Yeah.
I think it's being aware of who you're with. I think it's real easy to sink into the normal things that we sink into, and we're not aware of who we're actually with.
Mm.
Um, but I think it's just being intentional in every conversation and every place that you go. Um, it's just having that in the thought process of being a direct reflection of the Father. And you're gonna mess it up. You're gonna fail. You're gonna
Yeah.
say something stupid. It's like,
Yeah.
but the willingness to be able to go, hey, I made a mistake right there. That was out of character. That's not how I want to portray this. I think it goes a million miles because
Mm.
people have grace for that. People have grace for people who go, "Hey, I'm messed up," and so I think just be willing to fess up when you mess up.
Mm. For so many people that are Christians, and then you look at someone like yourself as well, that you've accomplished so much great success. Someone would say pride is an easy thing for a lot of men, especially to deal with. And you talk all the success you've had, Grammy nominations, great music. You have a spotlight, you have fans, followers, all those different aspects. What keeps you humble? Like, what keeps you in a mindset that says, you know what? I'm not going to allow all these worldly things to impact, who I truly am, who David Leonard really is.
Well, I mean, can you hear these kids yelling in the background? This thing that keeps me pretty humble. Keeps me they're like, we're not gonna let you get that cool. They will remind you real quickly how uncool you actually are.
Mm.
Yeah, I think you just gotta have real people in your lives that speak real truths into it.
Mm.
And sometimes it hurts, sometimes it builds you up, but I think it allows you to stay grounded, and that's been a big piece for me. Um, Community has been such a big piece. I've never wanted to do any of this stuff on my own. I've always surrounded myself with people that I feel like are better than me, and people who have a beautiful viewpoint of what the world is like. And
Mm.
um, I think it's a better thing for yourself, for the world, the more we surround ourselves with community.
I think that's a very important thing, especially for my generation, who is a generation that likes to isolate, likes to be by themselves a lot. And I've learned this a lot more. That, like he said right there, a lot of people will look at my generation and tell people, okay, you're independent, whatever it might be. Just go put people around yourself. But I think it's a lot deeper than that. Not just go surround yourself with anybody, but the
No,
right circle. When you do elaborate on that, just so people can hear this, because I've learned this in the past year or two, how important it is to surround yourself with the right people. What benefit does that do for yourself, having not just people, but the right people around you?
well, it's usually not the loudest person in the room.
Mhm.
I- that person is probably not the person that you want. You probably want the guy that's sitting in the corner, that's really quiet, just sitting there observing the whole time,
Mm.
because they're watching all of it. And yeah, you have to be aware of who you're asking to speak into your life, because there's a million voices that could just speak anything.
Yeah.
Um, but you know when you find the right people, um, but you also know when you don't. So don't
Yeah.
don't be afraid to go. Okay, hey, you can be in relationship with me, but you're not gonna be like the
Mm.
grand council here. You're not
Right.
gonna be speaking into where we're going. So
Mm.
uh, yeah, you're
I
gonna
know
mess
that
up.
for sure. And I know that can differentiate because each person's different. Obviously, what might help you out might be a little bit different from myself. But generally
Yeah.
speaking, for those that maybe are in this place of saying, okay, I want to expand my bubble or bring the right people, filter in and out, whatever their situation they're in, what would you say are a few big points, maybe three things that you say you look for and say, okay, does this person have X, Y, and Z, and that therefore they kind of fit that checklist to say, okay, I want them in my circle to feed into my mind and into who I am.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking for character. I'm looking for, what does their life reflect? Are they where I want to be? Are they living a life that I feel like is worthy of the being looked at? Um, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at uh, age because I like to have people in my life who are older than I am
Mm,
that can speak that, who have seen things that I haven't seen, that have lived the life that I've gone through. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for age and what it brings. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have a third. I think a lot is the character and the age, and um, it goes a long ways.
have you always learned that, or was there a point in your career that you really kind of opened your eyes up and said, okay, I need to get kind of change up my circle a little bit. I need to make sure like these are the things I'm now going to have as criteria.
I mean, I think it just changes in seasons. I
Okay.
think certain seasons you need different groups of people. But I think you're aware of it, and you know when the seasons are changing, and when it should swap. Um, but yeah, I don't think you really know until you're walking through it.
Right. You've provided a lot of great advice so far, and I just want to ask you if you could sum it up and say in one big way, like if there was a young up and coming Christian artist or someone that just wants to get in the Christian music industry, what's your one advice in terms of the way they need to go about their life, what they need to do, like your biggest advice, the most important thing, what would that be?
Man, just be you.
Mm,
We need more people who are willing to be themselves.
yeah.
Stop looking at what everybody else is doing and do what you feel like the Lord's placed on your heart. Speak the language that He gave you,
Yeah.
not just trying to replicate what the thing that's working is. Um, we need diversity. We need um, vulnerability. So just lean into it. Be you. Be vulnerable, and it'll be good.
So is that something you see? Because I do know so many people that are very successful, many people that people look up to as whether inspiration and great music, whatever it is. And I think that is true that you see so much on because of social media that there is this false perception, almost faking it of who people truly are. Is that like a really big problem that you are seeing happen in the world where people are not being authentic and that's now causing destruction, ripple effects in the rest of society?
Oh, I mean, I just think people are doing what they have to right now.
Mm,
I mean, I think, on social media, you're being asked from labels, management, whoever, you're being told the things that you have to do in order for people to hear your music. And it has little to do with your music or who you are. And so I think there is a shift. I think there's a change that's coming that is more engaged with authenticity and looking for real things. And so I'm ready for that.
I'm glad you said that because I don't think a lot of people realize that. I've noticed how big of an impact that obviously has. That there is like that, that clickbait narrative for some people, whether it's trying to go, to make the hits, make the video go viral.
Yeah.
How important is it as a society that we get back to authenticity? Because I think some people are craving that. People really, really want authentic. Well, it's preaching, whether it's music, whatever it is, they want authenticity. Are we getting closer to that? And how important will that shift be for this country, this world?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if we're getting close. I
Yeah.
think, I have a 14-year-old and I feel like she's pretty honest with me and the things that she sees that are authentic or that are real. I feel like they're silencing out a lot of the noise, which is exciting. It's exciting to see. I feel like there's a lot of new artists that are coming up that are kind of getting rid of a lot of that stuff. It's not fluff; it's real stuff, and I'm excited for that. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
Right.
It's a fun time if you can find the right people,
Right.
um,
Absolutely.
but you got to find it.
So if you just know some people out there, obviously I love what you do, your music, but some of the up and coming young people, whatever it might be, like who are some people that you'd say people should start really keeping an eye on that you truly think are authentic, real, good God-fearing men or women in the music industry?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to work on a lot of stuff right now. This kid Caleb King, he's awesome. Lily Hooten, she's writing amazing songs. Chris Seekis. There's a lot of really, really special people that are coming up that are singing real things about a real God, about real relationships. Um, that's pretty awesome.
I love that. I know this backtracks a little bit, but for your own self, you have the talent where obviously you could have considered like going into the secular music aspect. Why did you choose Christianity? Why did you want to make sure you were a Christian artist that really spoke into the Christian world?
I don't know. I think I was affected by a lot of Christian music. Grew up on it, and then I just found community in it. I found a lot of people that I love, and a lot of people that I wanted to link arms with, and it's the doors that the Lord opened up, and so I stick around because I do feel like there's a lot of good in it.
Mm,
But at the same time, there's other places that I'm like, there's a lot of good that can happen there if there's a little bit of light over there.
yeah.
So, I'm just open to what the Lord has for me.
All right, so I want to go into the way you make music because so many of your stories, when I was researching a lot of the songs you make, a lot of them happen with personal situations you're currently dealing with. I know it's not the same thing for every song, but at least a lot of them, I believe, are. When you go into saying, okay, you're going to make an album, you're going to make a song, whatever the process is for yourself, what is the creativity process like? Like, what gets you into the mood and how do you kind of come up with these beautiful songs?
I mean, every scenario is different. Me and a buddy bought a studio a couple years ago. An old church turned into a recording studio, and we end up running it together. And we have friends that help us do it all. And it's a special place that's filled with creativity. Always kind of have a open door place of there's no no's. We try a lot of different things, and we fail at a lot of different things. But it's a creative space,
Hmm.
and I just find that there's a lot of beauty that comes from allowing yourself to fail and allowing yourself to try things. And um, so that's what we try to do with, if it's stuff that I'm working on or stuff that we're working on for other people. Um, and you just try to get as creative as you can and try to be as real as possible.
I believe and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe this past album you worked on that you ended up moving into more of a secluded area as opposed to staying in the big Nashville area. You decided to go into a little bit of a secluded area to make your music. What led to that decision?
I mean, sometimes you need to change it up. Sometimes
Mm,
you need a different vantage point, and uh, sometimes you got to do it different. And we just wanted a place that made us feel like it would take us out of our normal, everydays, and would put us in something different. And we did it.
mm. When you look back and you see all the music you've made, is there one song specifically that speaks the most to you because of whether it was you made it off of a tough situation, whatever it might have been? And if so, what was that song?
Mm. I don't know. I mean, I think Light of Fire has been the one that's been really strong for me, um, because of just the realization of going, God, I need you to light something new inside of my heart. I think it's like life to have fires dwindle down to embers, and um, we need relit, and sometimes it takes certain things that you walk through. Um, but I feel like this one has kind of been one that has allowed people to feel that, and yeah, it's a special one to me.
Let's dive into that song because I think I love that song. I think it's very, very true because there are times that we're going to go through life, and this is what we learn about in the Bible. We're going to be on fire for God, things are going to be going great, whatever it might be. And then something happens. And sometimes it's because God will, in a certain sense, allow us to go through trials, tribulations that in return almost distance us a little bit from Him. But we get to that place where we almost are like, okay, we don't have that fire, that passion anymore, and we want to be there. How have you learned to navigate that? Because everyone's going to go through it at some point. How do you kind of learn to say, okay, I want to restore that fire. I must get that childlike faith again. What do you do, and how did you overcome that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm still overcoming that. You
Mm,
know, I think I'm still looking for new things to spark things in my life. I mean, obviously, what we walked through felt like a restart. It felt like um, a chance to be able to clean the slate. And um, a lot of times you're not really you're looking for things, but sometimes things hit you in the face.
mhm,
Yeah, it's not exactly how you want to be met with. Um, but I think if you can take a second and slow down and just allow yourself to see what the Lord's doing or what He's teaching you, I think it just brings beauty in your life. And um, you draw deeper connections to Him. But it takes slowing down to actually look, to actually find the moments that will start new fires in your life.
mm. It reminds me a little bit of your other song, "Walking On Down," which you do keep it very simple. It kinda is a basic
Yeah,
point of talking about, slow things down, and let's be honest, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, you're in the Nashville area, so we have 2 massive cities here where things can be moving quickly. Very, very hard, to slow down and just experience, enjoy the moments with your family, enjoy the moments with God.
yeah.
How important is it for society to sometimes just say, "You know what? Yes, we have to work hard. Yes, it's times to go be busy, but we have to kinda bring ourselves back down and get grounded." How important is that?
No, I mean, it's key. I'm at the beach right now.
Okay.
With my family, my wife's family. So there's extra kids everywhere. So
Okay.
all the kids that are yelling, it's not my kids. That's somebody else's crazy kids. But it probably is my kids. But um, no, I mean, I think rest is you gotta have it. You gotta have moments to be able to slow down. You gotta have moments to recharge. We just came off a run, a week long run. We did 6 shows in 6 days. So
Mm.
coming off of that and coming down here, it's really great just to be able to put my guard down, and kind of digest what we all walked through this week. And um, yeah, I'm grateful for it.
Has that rest aspect been something you've been able to learn longer term? Has it always been a part of your game plan? Or what kind of got you in the season of saying, you know what, there has to be a time for rest? 'Cause I know music industry can be crazy. So how did you kind of learn that?
Yeah, I think sometimes you're forced to learn it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're forced into rest, and then when you actually receive it and you go through it, you're like, okay, I need this in my life.
Right.
So sometimes I go into it willingly. Sometimes I'm drug into it, but
Mm.
every time it affects me in a beautiful way.
Love it. Another thing was Just Jesus, and that one, if I'm not mistaken, was kind of inspired by the loss of your grandparents having just a lot of different things go down in life. When you talk about just deciding to go out there and say, you know what, I want to make an album Just Jesus. What was the full inspiration? How did you kind of come up with the decision, the creativity to kind of come up with that album?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of life. There was a lot of stuff going on. Like you said, lost three grandparents in a short period, and you don't go through stuff like that, and I end up on the other side going, okay, what are the things that actually mean something to me? What is important to me, and to me, it was the relationship, and it was like I don't need any of this other stuff. I just need Jesus, and so every different record sparks something different. Where we are now is there's a lot of joy, there's a lot of life in it, with well done, and even time, the realization of life is moving quick, and
Yeah.
sometimes you're with it and sometimes you're not. um but I love what it is to write songs and to create music, and it kind of marks the season of life you're in.
Mm. Very simply, Just Jesus, this might be a very simple question that we don't ever get asked as Christians, but there might be someone that tunes into this that is not a believer, and they might simply ask that question, why do I need Jesus? For yourself, just kind of put it simply, what changes about life when you have Jesus and He is your rock, He's your foundation? What changes about life with Jesus?
Man, I think it's just hope. you know I think walking without him, it's easy to put your hope in a lot of things that are fleeting.
Mm.
And once you figure out that there is someone who you can put your hope in that will never leave, I think that changes everything.
Mm. I also want to kind of go into your transition because you obviously work with Need to Breathe. You work with a lot of different people. Obviously, you've become a great artist yourself. As you've gone through all the different aspects of changing throughout your career, how did you kind of lead in it? Like open in terms of the doors opening up for you to become the artist that you are today, being a producer, like all the different aspects. What has led to each of those avenues, and what has it been like kind of transitioning to get experience in almost all these different music aspects?
I don't know, man. I just keep walking through doors. Um, you know, I I can't tell you how I did it. I can't tell you how I got there. It was just the way the Lord led, and I walked through it. And so it's just keeping your eyes open and being hopeful that it'll bring crazy things your way.
Hmm. You brought up a few times about how, you come from a family where pastoring was there. Like you knew pastoring, you knew worship. When you reflect back on that time, how has that helped prepare you to become the person you are today as you've done your work?
I think, I mean, I've just seen a lot, um, which has allowed me to walk into it, not being surprised by anything you kind of step into.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I've got to watch two my grandfather and my father be pastors, serve churches, lead churches, um, and see what it means when you have a community around you. And so um, I'm grateful to find that to have been shown that. And yeah.
When you look at your future, I know obviously we can all say we know it's in God's hands ultimately. Is there other dreams you have outside of music? Has pastoring ever been something you've been interested in? Has there ever been anything else that you say, well, maybe one day I want to explore this?
I don't know. I mean, I got my hands on a lot of different things. But nothing the way music has caught me. So
Mm.
I don't really have a backup plan.
All right. A few more things before I let you go, one of which is Talking About Great Are You, Lord. I absolutely love that song. I want to know the backstory. What inspired you to make that song?
Man, I don't know if I can tell you. It was one of those things that it's just like a normal writing session. And honestly, the day that we wrote it, I didn't think I'd ever sing it again. It was kind of one of those moments of like, yeah, it was fine. It wasn't a song that we kind of walked away going, man, this is going to be something. Um, but man, just grateful for what it's meant. And it's been just the realization to myself that I have no idea what I'm doing in all of this because if it was up to me, this song never would have came out and it would have been a giant miss for myself, my family, even singing this song over my daughter in the hospital. Um, just means something different to me. And so I'm grateful that I had a lot of people speaking truth into my life and showing me the things that I couldn't see myself.
I think some people might be confused. I know myself am a little bit. So you'd say there's a lot of times that you make a song that you don't even know it's going to be a hit and ends up becoming the hit?
Yeah.
Wow. So what is that process like then? So like when do you kind of get to that situation where you say, okay, like I guess for that song specifically, what was it? Who kind of came in and said, you know what, this song we have to release this?
I just have friends that were like, hey, this it's for the special. Like you
Mm,
should do this. Um and I think sometimes we think that songs are gonna be big songs and they do nothing. And then there's songs that we never saw coming and they, you know, do everything. It's kind of the beauty of this thing. If I knew if I knew what I was doing in every single writing session, this would be boring,
mm,
you know. But I don't. Every day is different. I never know what song will work and what song won't. So I just keep addressing everyone as if they're special.
mm.
Um, and also just try to serve the moment. And it's allowed me to take the pressure off of creating grand things and just creating moments.
What song would you say has been the most shocking? Whether a song you thought for sure was going to be a hit and it didn't pan out, or a song that you had no idea was going to be good and ended up becoming a really big song?
I mean, Grady Lord is it. I mean, there's
Okay.
nothing else like that.
Okay.
No.
What I think is unique about that situation, though, is it's almost something that a lot of people can learn from that. That almost in a certain sense, you just sang something from your heart. You just were authentically who you were, and you didn't even expect it to be something big, but yet God does massive things through that. Did you learn any lesson because of just experiencing what happened in that situation?
I mean, just like what I said, as like there's I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good realization. I
hmm
think I think the more that we can be aware of our own flaws and all of this stuff, the better.
hmm Well, David, I've got one final question for you, and it's talking about your legacy, and that's ultimately what I always like to wrap up each interview talking about. Is we know one day we're gonna go to heaven, God will call us home, and when that day does come, what do you want to be remembered for what you accomplished for the kingdom of God here on earth?
And I mean, that's a big question. Um, I mean, think just a guy who loved well, loved his family well, loved God well, and loved people well.
Mm,
There was a light and was a friend.
I love that. I mean, that's
Yeah,
very biblical. We know that God says the first greatest commandment is love God, love people. Is that the biggest thing you would say that this world needs to learn more how to do?
yeah, day, all day.
I love it. Well, David, it's been truly a blessing having you on the show today, and I cannot wait to see how God continues to work in and through you and in your music and everything else you're doing, man. Of
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless.
Thanks, bro.
If this conversation blessed you today, please hit the like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps YouTube push this message to more people who need to hear it. If you're listening on audio, a 5-star review is a huge help. Share this episode with a friend or family member who needs encouragement and let me know your thoughts in the comments. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.